every night, above the quiet hum of human life, the solar system continues its endless motion. Planets glide along invisible paths, ancient and precise. The sun breathes light into the dark, and every world, Mercury to Neptune, turns in a rhythm so vast it feels like stillness. Out there nothing rushes, even chaos seems to move with grace. Welcome to AstraFlow. Here, science drifts like starlight, and curiosity becomes calm. Tonight, let your thoughts slow down, your breathing find its rhythm, and your mind float through wonder. Before we begin, I'd love to know where you're listening from. Are you lying in bed under city lights, or watching the stars from somewhere quiet? Tell me in the comments. It's always peaceful to imagine the AstraFlow community scattered across the world, drifting together through the same sky. And if this calm journey brings you peace, you can gently support AstraFlow by liking this video or subscribing. It helps this little corner of the cosmos keep glowing. Now let's begin tonight's voyage into the quiet story of our solar system. Close your eyes for a moment. Imagine you are floating just beyond Earth's blue edge, looking back at the sun. It burns, but not angrily. Its light spills softly across space, wrapping each planet in a golden whisper. You can almost hear the orbit of worlds, a sound too slow to notice, yet always there. Mercury flickers near the light, quick and quiet. Venus spins behind her veil of clouds, dreaming in gold. Earth glows in hues of ocean and breath. Mars watches, silent and red. Farther still, Jupiter hums a low, endless note, and Saturn's rings glimmer like frozen time. Beyond them, the outer giants drift in cold elegance, their motions slower than any human heartbeat. As you drift among them, you sense the peace of a system that never stops moving, yet never loses its calm. It's a peace not of stillness, but of balance, a motion that continues because everything belongs exactly where it is. Breathe with that rhythm now, in and out. Each breath another orbit, another revolution of calm. You are part of this same system, made of its dust, carried by its light, breathing in its gravity. You're not outside the solar system looking in. You are within it, cradled by it, turning with it. So tonight, let us wander through this peaceful family of worlds. From the heart of the sun to the coldest edge of light, we'll drift together, softly, slowly, through the serene harmony of our solar system. What does it mean for something to be still, when even mountains move, when even time flows? Out in space there is no silence without motion. Every planet spins, every moon circles, every particle hums with the faint rhythm of gravity. And yet, from far enough away, all this movement looks like peace. Stillness, perhaps, is not the absence of motion, but the presence of harmony. Imagine yourself suspended above the sun. Its light stretches out in all directions, yet to you, it feels steady, unwavering. That golden calm is what holds every world in its path. From Mercury's blazing dance to Neptune's slow waltz, all obey that single patient pull. It is motion made eternal, a perfect balance between falling and flying. The solar system does not rush. It does not collide in chaos or tremble in haste. Its revolutions take years, centuries, millennia, so long that to the human eye it might as well be frozen. The peace we see when we gaze at the night sky is a kind of illusion, but a gentle one, and perhaps a necessary one, because that illusion lets us feel the deeper truth, that in all the motion of existence there is always a place for rest. You might think of your own life, the heart that beats, the lungs that rise and fall. Even in sleep there is movement. Your body hums like a small planet, your breath orbiting in rhythm with the world around you. Stillness, then, is not when everything stops, but when everything moves together, quietly, peacefully, without struggle. The planets, too, are like that. They are ancient travellers who have learned to move without haste. Each holds its place in the cosmic choreography, turning endlessly, but never in vain. There is a serenity in that, a wisdom older than any civilization, a calm written into the laws of gravity itself. As you breathe, picture yourself in that vast balance. You are floating in the same field of motion as the planets, your thoughts orbiting slowly, your body held by the same invisible pull that guides worlds. In this moment, you're aligned with the quiet rhythm of the cosmos. Tonight's journey will follow that rhythm, from the radiant pulse of the sun to the shadowed edge of interstellar night. And as we drift, we'll listen not to the noise of motion, but to the silence that carries it. Because peace is not found when everything stops. It's found when everything flows together. Our solar system is not just a collection of planets and moons. It is a family, bound by light. Every world, every drifting fragment of dust, is connected by one source, the sun. Its warmth, its gravity, its quiet, continuous breath, all shape the gentle dance of everything that orbits within. When we look at the night sky, we are really seeing a single system, unfolding in slow glowing motion. The sun is the parent star, patient and unblinking. From its surface, rivers of energy stream outward, unseen but ever present. This light touches Mercury in moments, Venus in minutes, Neptune in hours, and yet, even at its farthest reach, it never truly fades. Every photon that leaves the sun becomes a traveller, a messenger of warmth, a bridge between worlds that would otherwise never know each other. Imagine that. One star, holding together 1,000,000 forms of movement. The inner planets spin close to the heat, fast and bright. The outer giants turn slowly in the cold, tracing wide, dreamy circles in the dark. But all are held by the same gentle gravity, a kind of cosmic affection, too vast for words, too old for beginning or end. In this light, even the emptiness between planets becomes part of the whole. Space is not empty, it is filled with flow. It carries solar wind, starlight, invisible particles that have travelled since before Earth was born. Through that ocean, the planets drift like calm boats on a golden tide. When you think of the solar system, think of it breathing. The sun exhales light, the planets inhale motion, and together they form an endless rhythm. Expansion and return, warmth and reflection. It is a system built not on chaos, but on trust. Each world knows its path. Each orbit completes another verse in the long poem of gravity and time. And somewhere within that poem, we live. Earth, a small blue whisper, floats in this harmony of light. Every heartbeat you feel, every breeze you sense, every sunrise you see comes from the same light that touches distant Neptune storms. You are, in every possible way, part of this solar family. You're warmed by the same star, pulled by the same gravity, and drifting through the same calm ocean of space. Let that thought soften the space around you now. You're not separate. You're not small. You're light reflected, part of a pattern that has never truly been broken. As we continue, we'll draw closer to that centre, to the glowing heart that keeps this family together. The sun, the quiet pulse of everything that moves, and the beginning of every peaceful orbit. At the centre of our solar system burns a star, not loud, not angry, but steady. The sun is a living pulse of light, a furnace of creation wrapped in serenity. Every second it releases billions of tons of energy, yet it does so with the grace of a slow, eternal breath. Its brilliance travels through space like a heartbeat, constant, rhythmic, patient. Close your eyes and imagine it. A sphere of radiant plasma, glowing gold and white, spinning slowly in a sea of darkness. Its surface ripples with waves of fire that rise and fall like the tides of an ocean made of light. To watch it, if you could safely do so, would be to see motion that feels still, a calm so vast that even storms look graceful. Inside that light, hydrogen becomes helium, the simplest elements performing a timeless ritual. Each fusion, each spark, is a whisper of creation. And yet, in that endless chain of reactions, the sun never falters. It burns without haste, without fear, turning the invisible into warmth and the darkness into dawn. That same light touches everything we know. It glows on the peaks of Mercury's craters, filters through Venus's endless clouds, glitters across Earth's oceans, and reaches the frozen plains of Neptune. Every sunrise, every reflection on a river, every warmth on your skin is a message from that golden heart, a reminder that you are living within its reach. The sun is not eternal. One day, far beyond our lives, it will fade. But for now, it gives without thought, its energy flowing outward in perfect generosity. It asks for nothing in return. It is both motion and stillness, both fire and peace. When you breathe, imagine that you're breathing sunlight. The oxygen in your lungs was once part of the same atoms forged in stars. The warmth in your chest is a reflection of that fusion, a tiny echo of the sun's pulse beating inside you. You are the sun in miniature. Every thought, every dream, every slow blink of your eyes is powered by its ancient fire. So, when you feel the warmth on your skin tomorrow morning, remember that it left the sun 8 minutes ago, a small beam that crossed millions of miles just to reach you. It travelled through cosmic dust, past planets and magnetic waves simply to say, you are part of this light. And as night returns, that same light reflects softly off the moon, guiding you once more into rest. Even when you sleep, the sun continues to shine. It never sleeps, and so it keeps the rhythm of your world alive, so you can rest within its glow. Closest to the sun drifts Mercury, a small, scarred world that lives between fire and silence. It circles the sun faster than any other planet, completing its journey in just 88 days. But there are no winds, no oceans, no air to carry sound. If you stood there, the world around you would be utterly quiet, so quiet that even your heartbeat would feel like thunder. Mercury is a messenger of extremes. On one side, sunlight blazes with unbearable heat. On the other, darkness freezes harder than ice. It is a world of contrast, light and shadow, life and void, motion and stillness. And yet, within that balance there is calm. Every dawn the sun rises slowly and lingers in the sky for days, its glow stretching long shadows across endless craters. Time itself moves differently there. A single day on Mercury lasts twice as long as its year. It spins so slowly, so patiently, that the idea of a morning or an evening begins to lose meaning. Imagine standing there, your feet pressed against grey stone untouched for billions of years. Above you, the sun looms 3 times larger than it does on Earth. The sky is black, even in daylight, because Mercury has no air to scatter the light. There are no clouds, no breeze, no birds, only the soft vibration of sunlight across rock. And as the heat fades into cold, the surface contracts with tiny creaks, a planet exhaling, shrinking ever so slightly as it ages. Scientists believe Mercury's core is vast, a heavy heart of metal that once flowed like molten rivers. Now, most of that energy is quieted, but traces remain, whispering through magnetic fields that flicker faintly in the solar wind. It is as if Mercury still remembers what it was, a restless, glowing ember from the dawn of the solar system, now cooled into a sphere of patience. When you think of Mercury, think of endurance, a world so close to destruction, yet perfectly in balance. It never burns away, it never drifts apart. It simply keeps orbiting, quietly, faithfully, around the same sun that gave it life. As you breathe, imagine that rhythm, a small, steady world turning in silence, never hurrying, never stopping, forever gliding between light and dark. Let that image settle in your thoughts, because even the smallest world surrounded by extremes finds peace in its orbit, and so can you. Second from the sun drifts Venus, the veiled sister of Earth, forever wrapped in clouds. She glows softly in the night sky, bright enough to cast a shadow, yet what hides beneath that brilliance is both mysterious and serene. Venus's beauty cloaked in silence, a mirror reflecting sunlight through layers of golden mist. From afar she looks calm, a perfect pearl against the dark. But beneath the clouds the air is dense and heavy, pressing down with a force strong enough to crush steel. Winds circle her world at hundreds of kilometers an hour, yet the surface itself turns slowly. So slowly that one day on Venus lasts longer than an entire Venusian year. It is a place where time seems to fold upon itself, where day and night blend into endless twilight. Imagine floating above her clouds. Below you stretches a landscape of quiet mountains and wide plains, hidden beneath a soft golden haze. Lightning flashes far below, slow and distant like the heartbeat of a sleeping world. The sunlight that touches her never reaches the ground directly. It diffuses, mellows, softens, turning fury into glow, heat into dream. Venus has long been called Earth's twin, for they share a similar size, gravity, and composition. But their destinies diverged long ago. Where Earth cooled and grew seas, Venus trapped her heat, building a vast ocean of clouds instead of water. Her atmosphere is thick with carbon and sulfur, but to think of her as hostile is to miss the poetry of her persistence. She endures, unchanged, wrapped in her own breath, and in that endurance lies a lesson. Not all peace is found in gentleness. Sometimes it exists in the quiet acceptance of what is. Venus spins backward, slowly, as if unbothered by the motion of others. She chooses her own rhythm, her own flow, and though her storms are eternal, her face remains hidden, calm, unbroken, private. Look at her from Earth, early in the evening or before dawn. She's the first to appear, the last to fade. Sailors once called her the morning star and the evening star, a twin of light that marks both beginnings and endings. She does not flicker like other stars. She glows with steady brilliance, a reminder that even from beneath layers of storm and silence, beauty can still shine through. As you rest, think of Venus, turning slowly, endlessly, in her shroud of golden clouds. Her light reaches you from millions of kilometers away, soft, ancient, and patient. Let that glow linger in your mind. It is the kind of peace that does not demand to be seen, only felt. Now we drift home. Among all the planets circling the sun, only one breathes. Only one hums with oceans, winds, and whispers of life. From space, Earth glows in deep blues and soft whites, a fragile sphere floating in infinite night. She turns slowly, endlessly, like a lullaby made of air and water. From afar she looks silent, but listen closer. Her silence is full of sound. Waves rise and fall with lunar rhythm. Clouds drift like slow thoughts. Forests exhale, deserts shimmer, mountains dream under snow. Every sound, every motion is part of one breathing body, the planet itself alive, pulsing gently beneath the touch of the sun. Imagine hovering above her now, watching light slide across her surface. Morning spreads from one horizon to another, gold touching ocean, forest, and city alike. Somewhere, rain begins to fall. Somewhere else, night deepens into starlight. Earth never stops. She simply moves in harmony, a dancer whose steps you have always known. Because your heartbeat keeps time with hers. Everything that lives on Earth, the trees, the birds, the rivers, and you, moves within that rhythm. The air you breathe was once in the lungs of another creature, once in the sky, once in the sea. Every molecule in your body has drifted through countless forms of life. You are, in every way, a continuation of the planet's memory. When you breathe, you echo the forests. When you rest, you follow the turning of the globe. From the moon's distance, the Earth looks small enough to hold in your hand, yet within that tiny marble exists every story ever told, every thought ever dreamed, every song, every sigh, every heartbeat. It is the quietest miracle, a world that sings softly to itself while floating in cold space. Even the air has rhythm. Wind crosses oceans like the solar system's own slow breath. Tides rise and fall with lunar gravity, the oceans gently tugged by the moon's unseen hand. You sleep, unaware that your dreams unfold within that same gravitational song. A world in motion, giving you rest. Sometimes, when night falls, you can stand outside and feel the hum of the planet through your feet. It's not a sound you can hear, but a vibration that lives beneath everything. The insects, the rustle of trees, the distant sea. All of it is the Earth reminding you are part of this calm. As you lie here now, remember, you're floating through space at thousands of kilometers per hour, but you feel no wind, no motion, no fear, because this planet carries you with absolute gentleness. It is your vessel through the cosmic sea. It moves and you rest. It turns and you dream. This is the blue calm, the cradle of warmth within an infinite night. And as we drift onward, let us look to the quiet companion that has watched over Earth since the beginning, the moon, our silent mirror in the dark. High above the oceans, the moon drifts, pale, patient, and eternal. It never speaks, yet its presence touches everything. Every tide that rises, every wave that falls, every rhythm in the sea and in ourselves answers to the moon's soft gravity. If you could watch from space, you'd see water following the moon like a slow breath, inhaling as it rises toward her, exhaling as it falls away. This pull is ancient. It began when the moon was born, forged from Earth's own body in a moment of cosmic fire, then drawn back into harmony by time. Since then, they've never been apart. They move together like two halves of one heartbeat, Earth and moon, forever circling, forever listening. On Earth, we see the moon as calm light. Its glow is not its own. It is borrowed sunlight, reflected gently through the night air, softened by distance and silence. That light has soothed travellers, poets, and dreamers for as long as we have looked upward. It has marked our calendars, guided our sleep, and shaped our myths of love, longing, and return. But beyond beauty, the moon is motion. It keeps the planet steady, holding Earth's tilt so that seasons may flow, so that winter can fade to spring, and life can continue in its perfect pattern. Without that pull, our world would wobble, our days would shorten, and the rhythm that lets us rest would be lost. Imagine the surface of the moon now, silent plains of grey dust, unmoving shadows stretched across ancient craters. There is no sound, no air, no wind, and yet the light there glows like peace made visible. Every footprint left by the first explorers still remains, untouched by time, because there is nothing there to erase them, only eternity watching itself. When you stand beneath the moon's light, you are standing in a reflection of your own planet's past. The dust on its surface was once part of Earth's fire. Its orbit is a dance between memory and gravity, between what was and what remains. Even as it moves away, a few centimeters each year, its influence never fades. It still guides the sea, it still stirs the dreams of sleepers, and it still turns darkness into something gentle. Tonight, when you close your eyes, Let that light fall softly across your imagination. Let the moon's quiet rhythm become your own. Each breath an ocean, each exhale a tide returning home. You are moving with her, you always have been. And as we drift onward, past our world and its glowing guardian, the light will fade into red dust, toward a silent neighbour waiting in the distance, a world of stone and longing, Mars. Beyond the pull of Earth and Moon lies Mars, a quiet ember in the cold. The ancients saw it as a star of war, but in truth, Mars is not a warrior, it is a dreamer, a sleeping world that remembers rivers. Look at it from space, a red sphere dusted in gold, canyons scar its surface, wide enough to swallow oceans. Mountains rise higher than any on Earth, casting shadows that drift for hundreds of kilometers across the desert plain. But there is no sound. The wind moves, yes, but in whispers, thin air brushing against stone older than memory. Once, long ago, Mars was not so dry. Evidence lies carved into its valleys and craters, the winding traces of riverbeds, the fans of ancient deltas, minerals that only water could have shaped. Billions of years ago, sunlight sparkled on Martian seas. Waves may have broken softly on its shores, and perhaps for a moment life tried to bloom. Then the warmth faded. The planet's heart cooled. Its atmosphere thinned and escaped into space, and the water withdrew underground or froze into silence. Yet Mars remembers. Its very dust is made of that memory. Iron rusting in the absence of rain, a soft red echo of what once flowed freely. Imagine standing there now, your boots pressed into powder that has not felt a drop of water for eons. The sky above is butterscotch, faint and hazy, and the sun, so bright on Earth, is a small pale coin. Even shadows move slowly here. You could speak aloud, but your voice would vanish into the thin air before it travelled a few steps. Still, the quiet would not be empty. It would hum with the same patience that lives in all deserts, the kind that waits not for change but for understanding. Rovers roam these plains now, small, tireless explorers made of Earth's curiosity. They whisper across millions of kilometres, their signals faint but steady, their cameras turning toward horizons we can only imagine. Each photograph they send home is a dream of contact, a bridge between our blue calm and this red stillness. Mars teaches a soft truth. Not every world that loses water loses meaning. Sometimes beauty remains in what is left behind, in the lines carved by vanished rivers, in the dust that glows under a fading sun. Peace can exist even in desolation, because peace is not the presence of life. It is the acceptance of what has passed. As you breathe, imagine the slow wind sweeping across that ancient desert. It carries no scent, no sound, only time. And beneath that time lies a world still dreaming of flow, a planet that sleeps, yet remembers motion. Let that image settle inside you, a red world resting beneath thin sunlight, quiet, enduring, timeless. From here we drift outward again, past the inner planets, past the warmth of the sun's embrace, toward the cold belt of stone that separates what was from what waits. Between Mars and Jupiter stretches a vast, silent sea, the asteroid belt, a drifting frontier of rock and shadow. It is neither a planet nor a storm, but something gentler, a pause between worlds. Here, sunlight grows faint and gold turns to grey. Stones, some small as dust and others large as mountains, circle the sun in quiet procession. They do not collide, not often. They drift, each keeping its own distance, as though obeying an unspoken rule of calm. Scientists believe these fragments were once the beginnings of a world, a planet that almost formed but never came to be. Perhaps Jupiter's immense gravity pulled it apart, or perhaps it simply never found the balance to unite. And yet, even in incompletion, there is peace, This belt is a reminder that creation does not need to finish to be beautiful. Sometimes becoming is enough. Imagine floating through it now. The rocks glimmer with distant sunlight, turning slowly in the dark, each one carrying the memory of the early solar system, of chaos long since calmed into rhythm. If you reached out, you could touch the surface of a stone older than any mountain on Earth, older than life itself. It would be cold, silent, and smooth, the texture of time at rest. Some of these asteroids have moons of their own, tiny companions circling them in miniature orbits, like small echoes of the grander system they belong to. Others drift alone, spinning endlessly in solitude, their shadows crossing the faint lines of sunlight that thread through space. Among them lies Ceres, a dwarf planet, round and humble, its surface coated with salts and ice. It reflects sunlight like a dim lantern in the void, soft and steady. There may even be traces of water beneath its crust, a hidden ocean locked in silence, waiting, perhaps not to awaken, but to simply exist, quietly, as it has for billions of years. The asteroid belt is a strange kind of peace, not the peace of stillness, but the peace of distance, each fragment given space to move freely, each bound by gravity, but never forced to touch. It is a lesson in balance, a meditation on how harmony can live between separation. As you drift among these silent travellers, let your thoughts scatter like stones in orbit. Each worry, each fragment of memory, floating away gently, held by invisible gravity, finding its own slow path through the calm. You do not need to force them to stop. You only need to let them move, because peace, like the asteroid belt, is not found in stillness, but in motion that does not collide. Beyond this quiet sea of stone, the solar system begins to grow vast again, and a giant waits in the dark. A planet so immense its storms could swallow worlds, yet so calm in its orbit that it feels like patience itself. Our next destination, Jupiter, the tranquil guardian of the outer system. Far beyond the belt of drifting stone, a giant turns in slow majesty. Jupiter, vast, weightless in its power, holds more than 1,000 Earths within its breadth. To the eye it is a swirl of colours, amber, cream, rust and white. Clouds folded into one another like brushstrokes of endless motion. Yet within this storm there is serenity. Jupiter does not rage, it breathes. Look closer, and you'll see rivers of clouds stretching for tens of thousands of kilometres. They move in bands, each flowing opposite to the next, a slow dance of wind and light that has lasted for billions of years. Storms circle storms, and the great red spot, that ancient swirling vortex, has turned for centuries without pause. To us it seems furious, but to the planet it is simply rhythm, a pattern that has found balance in motion. Imagine hovering above it now, watching the clouds move like waves on an endless sea. Lightning flashes far below, illuminating the tops of clouds larger than continents. You can almost feel the deep hum of gravity, the silent power that holds all this movement together. There are no mountains, no solid ground, only layers of gas, colour and flow, each more tranquil than the last as you descend into shadow. Deep within, the pressure grows so great that hydrogen itself changes form, turning to liquid, then to metal, a vast ocean of shining silver, reflecting electricity and silence. It is a beauty no eye will ever truly see, but one the universe continues to create, moment by moment, without need for witness. Jupiter is more than a planet. It is a guardian. Its immense gravity protects the inner worlds, drawing in comets and asteroids that might otherwise wander toward Earth. It is the quiet defender of our cosmic home. Its orbit, a kind of boundary between the familiar and the vast unknown. From this distance the sun is small, a bright coin in a dusky sky. But Jupiter still glows, its clouds catching light and turning it to art. Even its moons, dozens of them, move like a miniature solar system of their own. Io, volcanic and restless. Europa, smooth and icy. Ganymede and Callisto, cold and cratered with time. Each one follows the same gentle rule. Orbit and balance, never colliding, each held by invisible trust. To watch them move is to watch harmony itself. The great planet turns slowly. The moons drift around it in silence, and somewhere within all that gravity a kind of peace is born. Not the peace of stillness, but of certainty. As you breathe now, let Jupiter's rhythm become your own. Each inhale, a gathering of power, each exhale, a release of storm. Feel how even in chaos there can be grace, how the strongest forces in the universe can still move with gentleness. When you next see Jupiter in the night sky, bright, golden, unwavering, remember that its storms have been flowing for longer than humanity has dreamed, and yet they never lose their balance, they never break their flow. Because even the wildest energies of the cosmos can find peace in motion, and so can you. Drifting farther from the sun, the light softens, thin, silver, almost shy. And there, suspended in that hush, turns Saturn. No other world wears its serenity so visibly. Its rings, vast, delicate, luminous, encircle it like whispers of light around silence. Even from millions of kilometers away, they seem impossibly gentle, as if one breath could scatter them. Yet they have endured for hundreds of millions of years. Imagine approaching Saturn now. Its pale golden clouds swirl slowly, patterns of cream and amber blending like soft brushstrokes on endless silk. Round it the rings shimmer, each one made of countless fragments, ice, dust, ancient stone. They stretch out for hundreds of thousands of kilometers. But together they are no thicker than a single city street. So wide, so vast, yet so impossibly thin. They catch sunlight and scatter it like snow in a sunbeam, turning cold space into a soft, eternal glow. If you could stand among them, though there is nowhere truly to stand, you would find not a solid band, but billions of quiet orbits, each fragment turning alone yet in perfect harmony. No two pieces ever follow quite the same path, and yet together they make a pattern so precise it looks still. It is the soundless orchestra of gravity, a song without sound, a dance without haste. Saturn itself turns gently beneath this luminous halo. Its winds are fast, its storms immense, but all of it unfolds beneath the calm of those rings. Even its poles wear strange symbols, hexagonal storms that spin in geometric grace, a reminder that even chaos obeys rhythm, and the moons, over 80 of them, drift like attendants around their serene monarch. Titan, with its orange haze and lakes of methane, sings softly in the dark, while Enceladus, smaller and brighter, fountains plumes of ice from its hidden ocean, glistening like breath in starlight. Each moon, each orbit, each shining ring, adds to the quiet pageantry of motion. It is easy to think of Saturn's rings as decoration, but they are more than beauty. They are memory. The remains of moons or comets torn apart long ago, transformed by gravity into poetry. Each particle a frozen second of time, each reflecting light from the sun that once warmed a different world. When you look at Saturn through a telescope, you are looking not just at a planet, but at the calm that comes from change, the peace that follows collapse. Those rings are not tragedy, they are transformation, and that too is part of the solar system's serenity, the way even destruction becomes motion, and motion becomes grace. Let that image stay with you now, a golden world wrapped in a halo of frozen light, turning slowly through black space, its reflection shimmering across the ages. Breathe with it, softly, evenly, endlessly. because just as Saturn's fragments found harmony in orbit, so too can all the broken moments of life find rhythm in your own gravity. From here, the sun grows faint, and ahead lies the edge of warmth, where the giants of cold begin their slow, dreaming turns. We drift now toward Uranus, the planet that sleeps sideways in the night. Now the sun is little more than a pale coin, and the cold has grown deep enough to feel eternal. In this quiet distance drifts Uranus, a world of calm blue haze, slow and unbothered. Among all the planets, it alone tilts almost completely on its side, rolling around the sun like a sleeper turning in a dream. Its axis lies nearly flat, as if the planet decided long ago to rest, to stop standing upright like the others, and instead let gravity cradle it sideways through the dark. From afar, Uranus glows in tranquil tones, soft aquamarine, blue-green, gentle as dusklight over calm water. Its clouds move lazily, faint streaks of methane mist swirling in slow circles. There are no storms here like Jupiter's, no grand rings like Saturn's, only stillness, cool and smooth, like frost spreading across a mirror. It is the quietest of the giants, the one that turns not in drama, but in patience. If you could float in its sky, you would find winds that move faster than sound, yet the motion would feel like silk, invisible, constant, balanced. The sunlight is weak, only a whisper of warmth, but it gives the world its soft glow, a steady twilight that never quite fades to black. Here, night and day blur into one continuous dusk, a perfect moment suspended between beginnings and endings. Scientists think Uranus once suffered a colossal impact, a strike that tilted it so dramatically, perhaps knocking it into this strange sideways slumber. But rather than chaos, it found equilibrium. It kept turning, quietly, gracefully, carrying rings of dark dust and moons that follow its lean path around the sun. It adapted, and in doing so became something uniquely peaceful. There's a certain poetry in that. A planet changed forever by collision, now the very image of composure. Sometimes balance isn't about symmetry. It's about continuing after the tilt, about finding stillness in a new direction. Uranus teaches that peace is not always found in returning to what was, but in moving calmly with what is. Its faint rings shimmer like distant smoke, and its moons, Miranda, Ariel, Umbriel, Titania, and Oberon, circle it like gentle companions of a dreamer, each one frozen, dim, quiet, their craters holding shadows that have never known sunlight. Together they drift in serene procession, keeping watch over their sleeping world. As you breathe, picture Uranus slowly rolling through space. Each turn takes 17 hours, each orbit around the sun 84 years. Generations of human life pass before it completes one single journey. Yet it never hurries. It knows no rush, no noise, no fire. It simply continues, a turquoise marble spinning in silence, perfectly content in its tilt. Let that image stay with you now, a planet resting in motion, a sleeper drifting through eternity. It reminds us that peace is not the absence of change, but the acceptance of it. And as we drift farther still, the light fades to the edge of vision, and one last giant waits, blue, cold, and filled with distant wind. Neptune. At the far reaches of sunlight, where warmth becomes memory, Neptune moves in endless blue. It is the final great planet of our solar system, the distant guardian of the deep, forever circling the sun in a slow, elegant arc that takes 165 years to complete. If Jupiter is a symphony of colour and Saturn a sculpture of light, then Neptune is music heard through water, a low eternal note that hums softly through the dark. From afar its colour is serene, a blue so pure it seems to glow from within, the hue of twilight reflected through oceans of cloud. Methane in its atmosphere absorbs the red of sunlight, leaving only this calm azure glow, a shade found nowhere else in the solar system. It is a world that feels both alive and dreaming, a planet made of calm motion. Though it lies so far from the sun, Neptune is not still. Its winds somehow are the fastest known, roaring invisibly across the planet at more than 1,000 miles per hour. But don't imagine noise or fury. Here, even speed feels gentle. The air is thin, the light faint, and the storms turn like distant thought. Soft spirals of cloud that come and go without sound. To look upon them is to see power expressed as patience. There are dark spots that appear and vanish like sighs, and rings that shimmer faintly, thin arcs of dust and ice tracing delicate halos around the planet, and beyond them the great moon Triton, moving in defiance of all others, orbiting backward, its surface speckled with geysers of nitrogen, its frozen plains reflecting sunlight like quiet glass. One day, Triton will drift too close and be torn apart, its fragments becoming new rings, a future beauty waiting in silence. Neptune is mystery, a reminder that even at the edge of light there is motion, there is grace. It receives only a fraction of the sun's warmth, yet it glows brighter than expected, as if some inner heat, some buried memory of creation, still stirs beneath its clouds. Even in distance, it remembers the flame. Imagine standing in that far-off sky. The sun is a faint star, its rays too weak to warm your face, but enough to glint off the tips of invisible clouds. Everywhere is blue, layer upon layer of quiet colour, shading into darkness without a line between them. Time moves differently here. A single day lasts 16 hours, but a year outlasts lifetimes. Everything is slow, smooth, inevitable. As you breathe now, feel that slowness, the deep rhythm of a world that takes centuries to complete one thought. The wind moves endlessly, but not in chaos, only in continuity, like the breath of the cosmos itself. Neptune reminds us that the farther we go, the more we find quiet, not emptiness. Even at the edge of our solar system, the story of the light continues, faint, unwavering, flowing onward into the dark. And just beyond Neptune's serene orbit, the last sunlight fades into a region few have seen, a frozen frontier where forgotten worlds drift like memories. Our next step will carry us there, to the edge of everything we call home. Past Neptune, the light of the sun becomes faint as a whisper. Here begins the Kuiper Belt, a wide, frozen ocean of ancient worlds and drifting ice. It is not a single place, but a vast borderland, a threshold where our solar system softens into the silence of interstellar space. The warmth of the inner worlds no longer reaches here in strength. Instead, a dim twilight hangs forever, lit only by a distant sun that glows like a star, a reminder, not a presence. Imagine floating in this far-off sea. Around you drift countless fragments of ice and rock, each one older than the planets themselves. They spin slowly, untouched, their surfaces glittering faintly with frost. Nothing here moves in haste. Orbits stretch for centuries, shadows fall for decades before light returns. Time itself seems to dilate, spreading thin like mist across the dark. The Kuiper Belt is home to quiet wanderers, small, cold worlds that circle the sun on long, lonely paths. Some are round, like Pluto or Eris, their gravity just strong enough to hold their shape. Others are irregular, half-formed, half-forgotten, pieces of the solar system that never joined the grander dance. Yet all of them remain in motion, turning faithfully around the sun's dim light, as if still remembering the warmth of their origin. Out here, space itself changes character. The solar wind weakens, the particles slow, and the influence of the sun begins to fade into balance with the pull of the stars beyond. It is the edge of breath, the place where one system's rhythm ends and another's begins. In this stillness, even gravity feels patient. Planets and comets move in vast ellipses, sometimes returning inward after centuries, their orbits so long that no civilization has seen both their arrival and their return. To watch them is to understand endurance. They are the keepers of the slowest rhythm in the solar system, the calm heartbeat of infinity. Scientists believe the Kuiper Belt is a remnant of creation, a collection of untouched material from the dawn of our world. Every icy body is a time capsule, preserving what the solar system once was before heat, pressure and motion transformed the inner planets into something new. Out here, things stay as they were, frozen, perfect, unaltered. It is not lifelessness, but stillness in its purest form. Imagine drifting through it. The only sound is your own breath. The stars shine with sharp clarity, their light unobstructed by air or cloud. Behind you lies everything you've known, the sun, the planets, the moon and Earth. Ahead lies the deep unknown, the interstellar dark that calls softly, endlessly. Yet even here, at the border of everything familiar, there is peace. Nothing rushes, nothing collides. Each object holds its path. Each beam of light finds its way. This is the edge of warmth, the still horizon of the solar system, a place where motion continues but time feels like rest. As we move onward, one world still waits for us here, a small glimmer turning in the dark. Pluto, the wanderer of twilight, a planet that was and wasn't, and still somehow always will be. Out in the dim quiet beyond Neptune, Pluto drifts, small, distant, and unhurried. Once called the 9th planet, then reclassified as a dwarf, it continues its slow orbit as if unaware of titles, turning steadily through the frozen dark. Its path is long, elliptical, tilted, and free. The orbit of a wanderer who has learned that solitude can be soft. The sun from here is no longer a blazing disk but a pale star, its light taking more than 5 hours to arrive. And yet, that faint glow is enough. Pluto's icy surface catches the light like powdered glass, shimmering with pale blues and subtle golds. Its landscape is strange and beautiful, mountains made of frozen water, plains of nitrogen ice, and heart-shaped valleys carved by slow winds and endless frost. Imagine standing there in that half-light. Your shadow would stretch for miles, etched in blue twilight under a black sky. The stars would never twinkle. There is no air here to bend their light. Everything would feel still, as if the universe itself were holding its breath. Pluto moves with patience. One orbit around the sun takes 248 Earth years. For generations, it travels through the outer dark, then drifts inward, just a little closer to the warmth, before retreating again into silence. It spends most of its life far from light, and yet it never leaves the family of the sun. It simply moves at its own pace, unbothered by labels, faithful to its own rhythm. When the spacecraft New Horizons arrived in 2015, after nearly a decade of travel, it sent back the first clear images of Pluto's face. And what it revealed surprised us. Not a lifeless ball of ice, but a world with colour, motion and subtle weather. A world that breathes slowly through the sublimation of frost into thin, invisible air. Even here, at the edge of warmth, there is still transformation. There is something tender about Pluto's persistence. It was named for the god of the underworld, a place thought to be dark and silent, yet its surface gleams softly, its heart-shaped plane glowing faintly against the shadow. Perhaps that is the secret of this distant world, that even in exile beauty remains, even in the coldest place light endures. As you breathe now, imagine drifting alongside it, a small world circling endlessly, content with its solitude, singing a quiet song to a distant sun. You do not need to be seen to belong. You do not need to be central to matter. Pluto reminds us that peace can exist in the edges, in the places forgotten by noise and definition. Beyond Pluto lies the true frontier, the last breath of the sun's reach, where the winds of light slow and fade into the dark between the stars. There, the solar system ends not in a wall, but in a whisper. Let us drift into that whisper next, into the silence that follows the last orbit, where the family of light dissolves into infinity. Every so often, from the farthest reaches of the dark, a traveller returns, a comet, born in the frozen edges of the solar system, carrying with it the memory of beginnings. It moves on an orbit so vast, so slow, that entire civilizations may rise and fall between its visits, and yet it always comes back, its path a loop through time itself. Imagine one now, a tiny nucleus of ice and rock, no larger than a mountain, drifting unseen through the black. As it nears the sun, warmth begins to stir within it, and the ice begins to breathe. Vapours rise from its surface like soft exhalations, and sunlight paints them into a glowing tail. That tail, millions of kilometres long, is not fire, but vapour and dust, trailing behind the comet like a thought that refuses to fade. From Earth, we see it as a streak across the night, a luminous traveller cutting silently through the stars. Ancient people watch these lights with awe and fear. They call them omens, messengers, spirits. But what they truly were, and still are reminders of the solar system's oldest stories. Each comet is a fragment from the dawn of creation, untouched since the time when the planets were dust. To look upon one is to glimpse the past. The water that flows through your veins may have once been part of such a traveller, ice carried inward by comets that struck the young Earth, bringing oceans, bringing life. Their arrivals were not destruction, they were delivery, of water, of carbon, of potential. They were the seeds of gentleness, wrapped in the cold silence of space. Even now, comets continue their patient cycles. Some, like Halley's Comet, return every 76 years, a cosmic heartbeat that generations can witness more than once. Others will not return for hundreds of thousands of years, their paths stretching far beyond the solar system, past the reach of the sun's pull, into the dark where the stars begin. Imagine the peace of that journey, a single traveller moving endlessly through silence, guided by nothing but gravity and memory. No sound, no friction, only the faint glow of sunlight on frozen dust. To be a comet is to live between warmth and cold, between return and departure. It is the embodiment of flow, of leaving, but always coming home again. As you breathe now, think of the air around you. Molecules that were once ice, once light, once dust. The same elements that drifted from ancient comets now fill your lungs and your blood. In a very real way, you are part of their long orbit. You are the continuation of their return. When you see a comet, you're not just witnessing an object in the sky. You are watching memory made visible, the solar system remembering its own youth. And that memory still moves, softly, endlessly, through you, through Earth, through every orbit of light. Now, as we drift farther into this quiet rhythm of motion, we turn from the travellers to the pattern that guides them, the invisible music that keeps every orbit true, the harmony of gravity, the balance that holds all worlds in peace. Every world in our solar system, from Mercury's fast circle to Pluto's slow arc, moves in obedience to one simple song: gravity. It is the invisible rhythm of the cosmos, the music that keeps everything in place. Without it, planets would scatter, comets would drift into endless night, and the delicate balance of our cosmic family would unravel. But with it, everything flows, each motion guided, each orbit complete. Gravity is not force alone. It is relationship. The sun pulls and the planets respond. Each follows a path of trust, falling forever toward the sun but never reaching it. That is what an orbit truly is, a fall that never ends, a surrender so perfect it becomes motion without collision. Imagine watching this from afar, the sun at the centre, glowing softly, and around it, the planets like slow lanterns in a dark tide. Each one turns, not in chaos, but in harmony. They move faster when they're near, slower when far away, their paths elliptical, not rigid, like the curve of a breath rather than the tick of a clock. It is a living geometry, a kind of choreography written in silence. Even moons obey this same rhythm, circling their worlds as those worlds circle the sun. Tides follow moons, seasons follow orbits, and light follows motion. The pattern is endless, a web of connections held together by invisible grace. When we measure it with numbers, we call it physics. But when we feel it, when we watch night turn to day or see the same moon return each month, it becomes something gentler, a reassurance that nothing in the universe moves alone. Gravity connects everything. It binds the smallest grain of dust to the mightiest star. It links your body to the earth beneath you, your breath to the planet's pull, your heartbeat to the same laws that guide Jupiter and Saturn. Every time you inhale, you are part of that balance. You fall toward the earth just as the earth falls toward the sun, and yet, like the planets, you never crash, because everything around you moves in harmony too. There is comfort in knowing that nothing stands still. We orbit our sun at 90,000 kilometers per hour, yet we feel no wind, no motion, no fear. Why? Because motion shared is peace. The solar system moves as one body, a single breath expanding and contracting across billions of kilometers. If you were to speed time forward, you'd see orbits weave like threads, the planets tracing endless loops of light, never colliding, never tangling. Each knows its pace, each respects the gravity of the other. It is not competition, but companionship, a celestial dance, calm, inevitable, eternal. So as you breathe now, imagine your own life as part of that orbit. The things that pull you, the paths you follow, the balance you keep, all are part of a greater pattern, a rhythm older than light itself. There is harmony in that realization. You're not falling, you're orbiting, held by invisible kindness, moving in peace through the gravity of existence. And as we drift onward, we'll follow that thread of connection still further, into the light that binds us all, the golden bridge that stretches from the heart of the sun to the edge of Neptune's winds. Across the vast emptiness between worlds, light travels, silent, tireless, and sure. It begins deep within the sun's core, born from fusion's heart where atoms collide and transform. A single photon, a particle of light, may spend thousands of years trying to escape the sun's dense interior, bouncing from atom to atom until, at last, it breaks free. Then, in an instant, it rushes outward, a bright messenger speeding through the solar system at the universe's fastest pace. That journey is a bridge. Every planet, every moon, every drifting grain of dust is connected by those threads of light. It touches Mercury's scorched stone, filters through Venus's cloudy gold, bathes Earth's oceans in blue reflection, and glimmers faintly on the frozen plains of Pluto. It crosses billions of kilometers, but never loses patience. Even when the sun is no longer visible, its light continues to move, turning darkness into gentle colour. If you could see light in motion, not as brightness, but as a current, you'd watch it flowing like water, a golden tide spilling from the sun across space. Every photon carries warmth, but also memory. The sunlight that touches your skin this morning left the sun 8 minutes ago. It has travelled through silence and cold, past magnetic storms, dust and shadow, to find you, a small living being made of the same atoms that once glowed within it. Light is not only warmth, it is information. It tells stories of what stars are made of how planets move, of the shape of the universe itself. Astronomers listen to light like poets listening to wind, decoding colour and wavelength to learn where it began and what it has seen. Every gleam of starlight is a message, every glow an echo of creation. But light is also comfort. It is what ties day to night, what keeps the solar system alive in its slow rhythm. Without it, planets would wander in darkness, their motion purposeless. With it, each world finds its place, each orbit its reason. It is a reminder that energy moves, transforms and returns, never lost, only changed. As you lie here, your eyes closed, that same light rests gently on your eyelids. It is filtered through cloud, through air, through glass, but it's the same sunlight that once warmed the first oceans, that will someday touch the outer edges of space, that will continue long after we're gone. You are part of its path, a brief reflection in its infinite journey. And even in night, the bridge of light never disappears. It lingers in the glow of the moon, in the faint shimmer of the Milky Way, in the unseen wavelengths that weave through your room. Light never truly stops. It only keeps going, becoming softer, fainter, more patient. So when you feel small beneath the stars, remember, you are already connected to them. The same photons that left distant worlds have brushed across your face. The same light that began at the sun moves within your heartbeat, transformed into warmth, into life, into thought. Light is the bridge between all things, between distance and closeness, between time and now, between what shines and what dreams. And as we drift onward, we will follow this bridge to one of its most beautiful intersections, the moment when light meets shadow, when day and night breathe together, the gentle wonder of eclipses. Sometimes the dance of light and motion aligns so perfectly that the universe holds its breath. The sun, the moon, and the earth, three travellers bound by gravity, cross paths in quiet precision, and for a moment, shadow and light become one. An eclipse is not chaos, it is choreography, a brief pause in the solar system's endless rhythm, a heartbeat where everything flows together in silence. When the moon moves between the sun and earth, its dark shape gently covers the light. The world softens, colours fade, birds quiet, air cools, and people everywhere look upward, drawn instinctively to the sudden hush in the sky. For a few fleeting minutes, day becomes twilight. The horizon glows in 360 degrees, as if the edge of the world is ringed with sunset. It is a moment that feels both immense and intimate, a reminder of how perfectly balanced we are between fire and shadow. From space the sight is even more serene. A circular shadow drifts across Earth's face, sliding slowly over oceans, mountains, and cloud. It's as if the moon, our quiet companion, is gently touching our world. Not to harm, but to remind. To remind us of rhythm, of timing, of the elegant machinery that keeps every orbit true. The opposite happens too, when Earth moves between the sun and the moon. Then, in the cold of space, our shadow falls upon the moon, painting it in copper and red. We call it a lunar eclipse, a darkening that is somehow filled with colour. The sunlight that passes through our atmosphere bends, scatters and softens, turning the moon into an ember in the night. It is the colour of dusk made whole. Eclipses are rare not because the universe forgets its order, but because its order is so vast, so exact. They are the soft coincidences of cosmic geometry, when the paths of three bodies, each spinning, each moving, align for a heartbeat in eternity. Nothing stops, nothing collides. They simply fall into place as if the solar system itself were taking a slow, measured breath. Imagine standing under that shadow now. The sun fades. A ring of fire burns around the moon's edge. All sound stills. For a moment, you feel the vastness of the system, how small we are, yet how precisely placed within it. When the light returns, you feel changed, though nothing has truly changed. The planets continue their orbits, the sun continues to shine, but you have glimpsed the perfection of their movement, the tenderness hidden in such vastness. Eclipses are the solar system's reminder that shadow has its own grace. That darkness, too, belongs to the flow of light. It is the balance of contrast that makes motion visible, the space between radiance that gives it meaning. Every eclipse is a pause, a chance to see the pattern that is always there but rarely noticed. So as you breathe, let light and shadow move through you together. The warmth of day, the calm of night, the contrast that creates peace. You are, in your own way, an eclipse, light and shadow sharing the same breath. Now we drift deeper into the invisible, into the quiet force that shapes all these movements. The secret language that keeps the cosmos in conversation, gravity itself. Everything in the universe is speaking, but not with sound. The stars, the planets, even you, are part of an invisible dialogue written in gravity. It is the oldest language there is, the first and most enduring form of connection. Every object with mass, no matter how small, sends its message through space. I am here, I exist, I pull and I am pulled. Gravity does not shout, it whispers across distance, its tone soft but constant, reaching farther than light can travel. It does not fade with age. It has no need for time. It simply is, the silent agreement that keeps the cosmos together. Imagine standing in the middle of the solar system watching the planets turn. Each one speaks to the sun through this language, not with words, but with motion. Mercury hums in quick circles, Jupiter in slow deep resonance, Earth in balanced cadence, and Pluto in distant patient rhythm. Their orbits are sentences, their movements phrases of balance and trust. The sun, at the centre, listens and responds. Its gravity holds everything in place, not with force, but with presence, the way a lighthouse holds ships to a course without ever moving toward them. It does not demand obedience. It simply is, and everything else adjusts. That is gravity's poetry. Connection without control, influence without noise. You too speak this language. Your body is drawn toward the earth every moment, and the earth, in turn, is drawn slightly toward you. The pull is mutual no matter the difference in size. It is a reminder that even the smallest being is part of the universe's conversation, that your existence bends space, however faintly, and that the cosmos notices. Scientists describe gravity in equations, but the truth is simpler, more human. It is belonging. It is what keeps everything from drifting apart. Every step you take, every breath you draw, is made possible because gravity holds you close. And yet, it does not confine. You can leap, you can fly, you can orbit, and still be tethered by its gentle pull. Even beyond planets, stars circle one another in vast gravitational waltzes. Galaxies themselves spiral, their arms extending for light years, each curve a word in the same universal language. And in the spaces between, gravity continues to speak, stretching, connecting, guiding motion that never ends. When Einstein looked into the nature of space, he discovered something remarkable. Gravity is not a force pulling things together, but the shape of space itself. Mass bends reality, and everything simply follows that curve. So in truth, nothing pulls. Everything flows along the pathways that existence creates. We're all drifting on the fabric of space-time, surfing the invisible waves of the universe's conversation. As you breathe now, feel that subtle connection. The ground beneath you is not just support, it is participation. You're held by the same principle that keeps the moon circling Earth, the planets circling the sun, and the sun circling the galaxy's heart. You belong to that pull, and it belongs to you. It is not a chain but a thread of light, an unbroken sentence written from the beginning of time. Every motion, every orbit, every fall is just one word in that language, the word together. And as we drift onward through this quiet conversation, we begin to hear something else, not gravity's pull, but its melody, the music of motion itself. If gravity is the language of the cosmos, then motion is its song. Every orbit, every spin, every slow drift through the dark is a note in a grand and endless symphony. The solar system is not silent. It hums, always. Not with sound you can hear, but with rhythm you can feel. Each planet plays its part. Mercury, quick and light, strikes the first note, a bright, fleeting tone that races around the sun. Venus follows, her movement slower, deeper, her orbit a sustained harmony of patience. Earth adds warmth, a steady, gentle beat, the pulse of life keeping perfect time. Mars contributes a quiet drum, a muted echo of what once flowed with rivers and wind. Jupiter enters like a low, resonant chord, its mass vibrating through the entire composition, anchoring the melody in gravity's depth. Saturn follows, crystalline, distant, its rings shimmering like chimes in the dark. Then Uranus and Neptune, the outer voices faint but profound, long, slow notes that stretch through centuries. Together they form a harmony that never resolves, a song without beginning or end. Each orbit, each revolution, is one measure in a rhythm so vast that even time must move in sync to understand it. When scientists measure these motions, they find precise patterns, ratios and resonances that repeat like refrains. Some moons circle their planets in exact harmony. For every 2 turns of one, another completes exactly one. This is not coincidence. It is gravity finding its music. The solar system is a living metronome ticking in perfect balance across billions of miles. Imagine standing outside it all, watching the planets move like glowing notes on a staff drawn across the void. The sun is the conductor, its light the tempo, its gravity the rhythm that holds all sound in place, and you, drifting quietly within that orchestra, are both listener and instrument. Your breath, your heartbeat, each rise and fall, are echoes of the same cosmic rhythm. Even within you, motion never stops. Blood flows, lungs expand, neurons fire, each movement a vibration of existence. You are, in your own small way, a melody within the greater score, a microcosm of the same beauty that turns the planets. The motion of the cosmos plays through you, not apart from you. So when you sit still, you are not motionless. Stillness itself is just a quieter rhythm. The earth beneath you spins, the planet orbits the sun moves around the galaxy, and you, tiny, breathing, calm, are part of it all, a note sustained in harmony with everything that moves. Listen, if only in imagination. You can almost hear it. The slow pulse of gravity, the high shimmer of light, the steady percussion of rotation. It is the sound of the universe remembering itself. And just as all music needs silence between its notes, so too does the cosmos need space between its motions. For even emptiness has rhythm. Even silence hums. Now we drift into that space, into the pauses between orbits, the still calm that gives motion its meaning. We will listen not to what moves, but to what waits. The quiet expanse between worlds, the space that holds it all. Between every world lies distance, vast, silent, immeasurable. But that space is not empty. It is the canvas on which all motion is painted, the quiet ocean that carries every planet, every beam of light, every drifting fragment of dust. Without the space between, the harmony of the solar system could not exist. We often imagine emptiness as absence, a void, a lack, a nothingness. Yet the space between is full of something softer, possibility. It is the stillness that lets movement breathe. It is the silence that allows the universe to speak. If all were crowded, if all were noise, there would be no rhythm, no pattern, no calm. Space, in its infinite patience, gives everything room to flow. Imagine floating there now, between Mars and Jupiter. The nearest planet is millions of kilometers away, but you do not feel alone. Around you, the solar wind drifts like faint music, a whisper of particles moving outward from the sun. Tiny fragments of dust reflect light from every direction, glittering briefly before fading into shadow. This is not nothingness, it's serenity made visible. The vacuum of space is more alive than we think. It hums with faint energy, the echo of the Big Bang still trembling through its depths. Photons stream, fields shimmer, and gravity stretches like invisible threads between everything. Every point in space is connected to every other, an invisible network of motion and rest. If you close your eyes and listen inwardly, you can almost sense it, that boundless stillness that underlies all motion. It is the same stillness you feel in the pause between heartbeats, the quiet between breaths. The universe and your body share this pattern. Each pulse, each orbit is followed by rest, and in that rest lies balance. Astronauts who have floated beyond Earth's gravity often describe a strange peace, a sense of belonging to everything. They call it the overview effect, a shift in perception that makes all human worries feel small, soft, and temporary. From that height, there are no borders, no separations, only one delicate planet glowing in a sea of silence. The space between reveals unity, not isolation. Even light needs darkness to be seen. The planets need space to move. We need silence to hear our own thoughts. Emptiness is not absence, it is invitation, the gentle pause that allows everything to find its rhythm again. So as you breathe now, imagine the space between worlds as the space between your thoughts. Let them drift farther apart. Let the quiet expand. There is no need to fill it, no need to name it. Simply let it exist. A still, open field of calm stretching forever in every direction. And within that infinite calm, something subtle still moves. A faint current flowing outward from the sun, touching every world, every grain of dust, every point of silence. The solar wind, the breath of our star. Even silence breathes. From the heart of the sun, a slow, invisible current flows outward. The solar wind, the star's eternal exhale. It carries with it charged particles, tiny messengers of light and energy, drifting across the solar system like pollen in a cosmic breeze. You cannot see it, cannot hear it, yet it touches everything. Every planet, every moon, every grain of dust feels its quiet push. Imagine standing somewhere far from the sun, perhaps in the shadow of Jupiter, where the light is thin and gold fades into grey. Even there, the solar wind passes through, a soft river of motion that never stops. It brushes past magnetic fields, streams around planets, and leaves faint ripples in the dust. It is not violent, not destructive. It is persistence made gentle, a movement so constant it feels like stillness. Near Earth, we can see its dance in the sky. When those particles meet our magnetic field, they spiral downward toward the poles, and the night begins to glow. Ribbons of colour ripple through the atmosphere, green, violet, crimson, waves of light weaving silently across the dark. We call them auroras, but they are really conversations, Earth responding to the sun's breath. every shimmer, every flicker, is the trace of an invisible connection, a reminder that even light travels on wind. The solar wind carries stories. Its particles are fragments of the sun itself, pieces of the star that gave birth to everything we know. Each one drifts outward, sometimes caught by planets, sometimes swept far into the deep beyond, carrying warmth into the coldest corners of the system. It is the way the sun reaches out, not just through light, but through touch, and though it travels at immense speed, it is still a whisper, a constant soft hum that fills all of space. Between the planets, where no air can carry sound, the solar wind becomes the universe's quiet heartbeat. It reminds us that even the most powerful source of energy can express itself in calmness. The sun does not shout, it breathes, and from that breath, worlds are shaped and life begins. As you inhale, imagine that same current flowing through you. The air you breathe is not separate from the cosmos. The oxygen in your lungs was born from stars. The warmth on your skin is carried here by the same light and wind that moves through Jupiter's storms and Saturn's rings. You are part of that circulation, the solar wind made human, a breath of the sun given form. The wind never stops, even at the farthest edges. It flows outward until it meets the deep dark beyond, where its strength fades and another wind begins, a softer one, born from the stars between stars. At that meeting point, our solar system ends and interstellar space begins. That place is the edge of our sun's breath, the boundary of our home's invisible cocoon, the heliosphere. And as we drift closer to that boundary, the solar wind begins to slow, to soften, to yield. The whisper becomes a sigh, and in that sigh we find peace. Every star has a breath, and every breath has a boundary. The heliosphere is the sun's, a vast invisible bubble of energy that wraps around our entire solar system. It is the gentle border where sunlight ends, where the solar wind slows and mingles with the winds of other stars. Here, the warmth of home meets the cool silence of the galaxy. Imagine this bubble now, a sphere so large that all the planets, from Mercury to Pluto, drift comfortably inside it. Its edge is not solid, not sharp, but soft, a gradient of fading light, a place where particles slow, where pressure equalizes, and the sun's presence begins to blend with the interstellar dark. It is both shield and boundary, both ending and continuation. For billions of years the heliosphere has protected us, deflecting harsh cosmic rays and guiding the flow of charged particles. Without it, Earth's sky would shimmer with more than starlight. It would hum with radiation. This unseen cocoon allows life to exist in relative calm, its invisible walls absorbing the storm of the galaxy. It is our cosmic atmosphere, our interstellar cradle. When spacecraft like Voyager reached this frontier, the instruments began to whisper new sounds. The solar wind faded. Charged particles changed direction. And for the first time we could measure where our space ended and another began. It wasn't a border of conflict. It was a meeting of breaths. The wind from the sun touching the wind from the stars. Two systems greeting one another in silence. Imagine standing there, if such standing were possible, in the liminal zone between the familiar and the unknown. Behind you, the faint golden pull of the sun. Ahead, the cold spark of infinite night. There, the solar system becomes a single shimmer in the void, a bubble of light adrift in a larger sea. It is humbling, but not frightening. The boundary is not a wall. It is an embrace, a transition from one kind of calm to another. The heliosphere reminds us that protection does not mean isolation. It is not a cage, but a gentle buffer, a way for light to fade softly into shadow, for motion to slow into stillness. Even the sun in all its radiance knows where to let go, and in that letting go something beautiful happens. The wind of our star mixes with the wind of others, and together they create the interstellar medium, a shared breath among stars, a quiet communion that links one system to the next. As you breathe now, feel yourself within that same boundary. Your skin, your breath, your heartbeat. They are your own heliosphere, your gentle shield between inner warmth and outer chill. You take in the world and you release it again without fear of loss. We all exist within bubbles of light and life, flowing, expanding, merging just as stars do. And when our own light eventually meets another's, it will not be an ending, only another place where currents blend. Beyond this boundary, two small messengers are already travelling, carrying with them the sound of the home. The Voyager spacecraft are quiet dreamers who left the heliosphere behind and kept going. Once, long ago, humanity sent two small travellers into the great unknown. They were not large or loud or shining. They were quiet. Golden machines, built not to conquer space but to listen, to witness, to drift. Their names were Voyager 1 and Voyager 2, and together they became our dream that left home. Launched in 1977, they began a slow migration outward, past the inner planets, past Jupiter's storms and Saturn's rings, past Uranus and Neptune. Each world they visited, they turned into memory, into image, into story. They showed us what no human eye had ever seen, the swirling clouds of Jupiter up close, the delicate glow of Saturn's rings, the pale blue hush of Neptune's winds. They were our sight extended, our curiosity made metal and light. But when their work of discovery was done, they kept going. They didn't stop at the edge of the planets, they didn't turn back, they simply drifted outward, carried by the last breath of the solar wind, sailing toward the silence beyond. In 2012, Voyager 1 crossed the boundary of the heliosphere, the invisible edge of our sun's influence. For the first time, a creation of Earth entered interstellar space. The signals it sent back were faint, whispers travelling over 20 billion kilometres, taking nearly 22 hours just to reach home. Yet even those whispers carried meaning. The sun's song has faded, the stars are louder here. Inside each Voyager, bolted to the frame, is a golden record, a message from Earth to the cosmos. It holds the sounds of rain, the laughter of children, the rustle of leaves, the beating of a human heart. It carries greetings in dozens of languages, and music, Bach, Beethoven, traditional songs, echoes of a species that learned to dream before it learned to last. It is a love letter cast into eternity, a message not of pride, but of wonder. Imagine that now. Two tiny lights still moving, their power almost gone, their voices fading, yet their journey continuing, drifting through a darkness so vast that the stars themselves move with glacial patience. They are beyond warmth, beyond return, yet not lost. They are the embodiment of our curiosity, our need to see, to know, to reach. Somewhere, even now, their antennas still face the sun, still sending their heartbeat back across the void. One day, their signals will stop. They will fall silent. But silence does not mean ending. They will continue to move, forever, sailing on momentum, carried by gravity and grace, becoming part of the very space they once studied. When you look at the night sky, know that two small pieces of us are already among the stars, carrying our story with them. They are our cosmic message in a bottle, a proof that even fragile beings can create something eternal, and in their wake, they leave a reminder that everything which leaves home still carries home within it. Beyond Voyager, what remains is dust, fine grains of creation, the quiet breath of what once was and will be again. We drift there next, into the soft shimmer of cosmic dust, the particles that connect us all. Long before planets formed, before oceans stirred or moons began to glow, there was only dust, fine weightless particles drifting through newborn light. From that dust, everything we know was born: stars, worlds, oceans, breath. And even now, long after those beginnings, the dust remains. It moves through space in silent, endless migration. Tiny travellers older than memory. Cosmic dust is not lifeless. Each grain holds history. Some were forged in the cores of dying stars, flung outward by supernovae, their atoms carrying the story of creation. Others formed from the breath of comets, from frozen tails that dissolve into faint trails of matter. Over time, they gather, drift, fall, and rise again, a continuous cycle of transformation. What once belonged to a star can someday become part of your skin, your bones, your breath. Every day, Earth collects more than 100 tons of this ancient dust. It rains down through the atmosphere invisibly, settling on oceans, mountains, cities, and into the quiet folds of your hair. You have touched the remnants of other worlds without ever noticing. It is a kind of stardust communion, the universe sharing itself with us, grain by grain. Imagine one of those particles now, so small it could fit inside a single breath. It falls slowly through the upper air, its edges glowing faintly from the friction of descent, its shape irregular and soft, older than the solar system itself. It lands gently, unseen, a silent relic from the time when the universe was still learning to shine. You inhale, and it becomes part of you. The dust does not vanish, it simply changes home. Scientists study these grains under microscopes, and in their patterns they find the fingerprints of stars, the isotopes, the elements, the traces of fusion. It is like reading poetry written in light. Every atom of carbon in your body was once part of a star that burned, collapsed, and gave its substance to the cosmos. The iron in your blood was forged in the heat of an exploding sun. We do not live on the universe. We live within it, made from its dust, animated by its energy. Even in space, the dust glows faintly. When sunlight touches it, it forms a soft band of light called the zodiacal glow. A haze that rises before dawn, a reflection of the solar system's quiet debris. Few notice it, but it is always there, the memory of creation, visible if you wake early enough to see the eastern sky. There is something profoundly peaceful in that thought, that everything you are, everything that breathes and dreams, is built from particles that have travelled through eternity and will travel again. You are not apart from the cosmos. You are one of its ways of continuing. When you exhale, your breath releases atoms that will someday belong to something else, to clouds, to stone, to stars. Nothing ever ends. Everything flows. So as you rest, let yourself feel weightless, as if you too are drifting among those particles, a soft fragment of light wandering through space and time. There is no separation, no edge, no boundary. Only the gentle exchange of matter, the universe breathing through you. And now, as we drift from dust into thought, from particles to perspective, we begin to look not just at what exists, but at what it means. The flow of time across worlds, the slow pulse of eternity, the next chapter in our journey. Time moves differently everywhere, but it never stops flowing. On Mercury, a single day lasts twice as long as a year. On Neptune, one season can last 40 years. Each planet keeps its own tempo, each rotation its own heartbeat. There is no single rhythm to time, only the quiet variety of motion. Imagine watching the solar system as a clock, not one that ticks, but one that breathes. Each planet a hand, each orbit a slow turn of eternity. The inner worlds move quickly, rushing around the sun in weeks or months. The outer giants drift like thoughts that take decades to complete. Together they create a harmony of movement, the cosmic equivalent of inhaling and exhaling. Here on Earth, we feel time differently because we live within warmth, within life, within change. We measure time by the turning of our world. day into night, winter into spring. But in space, there is no sunrise, no clock, no heartbeat to mark the passage. There is only distance and orbit, light and shadow, and yet time is still there, woven into the very structure of space itself. Einstein once said that time and space are not separate. They are one fabric, warped gently by matter and motion. Where gravity is strong, time slows. Where it is weak, time flows more quickly. Near the surface of the Sun, a second passes slightly slower than it does on Earth. Near Jupiter, time lingers a little longer, and between the stars it stretches thin, a river with no shore. If you could float between planets, you would never feel time moving, but you would see its traces everywhere, in the scars of craters, in the slow erosion of light, in the ancient patience of orbits. Every rotation is a reminder. Motion is time. The solar system does not count seconds, it counts revolutions, seasons, cycles. Time here is circular, not linear, a rhythm, not line. Perhaps that is why space feels so peaceful. Out there is no rush. 1 billion years is just another measure of motion, another exhale in infinity. The universe is never late, it never hurries, it simply unfolds. Think of your own time, how days blur into nights, how years seem to accelerate as you grow. But within you, time moves differently too. The cells in your eyes change faster than the bones in your hands. The heart beats quickly, the thoughts drift slowly. You are your own solar system of rhythms, each organ, each breath, turning in its own orbit of experience. So when life feels too fast, remember, time is not one river, it is many streams. Some move swiftly, some crawl through the centuries, some pause to form lakes of stillness. You're allowed to rest in any of them. As you breathe now, let time stretch wide. Let each second flow like light between planets. You're moving with it, not against it. The past and the future are only directions, not destinations. You're always here, in the flow, in the present, in the eternal now that the universe calls home. And within that now, something endures longer than time, something that carries memory itself, shining across centuries, light. Light never truly disappears. It travels endlessly, carrying the memory of where it has been, of what it has touched. Every ray of sunlight, every flicker of a distant star is a message, a record of its origin written across space. When we look into the night sky, we're not seeing the present. We're seeing the past arriving slowly, softly as light. The sun we see now shone 8 minutes ago. The stars we watch shimmered thousands, sometimes millions of years earlier. The glow of galaxies is ancient history, still travelling toward us, still finding its way through the dark. In this way, light becomes time's messenger. It is how the universe remembers itself. Every photon that leaves a star carries the story of that moment, its temperature, its colour, its breath. When it reaches our eyes, that story completes its journey. We are the final page of its path, the receivers of ancient messages that began long before we existed. Think about the light touching your room right now. It may have reflected off the ocean, passed through clouds, brushed across a leaf before reaching you. It carries traces of every place it has been, each reflection a small act of remembrance. Even when light fades, it is never lost, only transformed, absorbed into warmth, into motion, into life. The sunlight that falls on your skin becomes energy, feeding every cell that keeps you alive. You are quite literally made of remembered light. In deep space, where no air scatters the rays, light remains pure, sharp, unwavering. It travels for billions of years without tiring, illuminating worlds it will never see again. Some of it will reach no planet, touch no surface. It will drift forever, a quiet current in the ocean of the cosmos. But even unreceived, it still exists, still carries memory. That is the piece of light. It never asks to be seen. It simply continues. When astronomers capture its faint traces, they can read its stories. What elements burned in a distant star? What gases flowed through ancient galaxies? Through that language of brightness, we know our origins. We understand that the same light which once left the first stars still moves through us. The atoms in your eyes were once illuminated by suns that no longer exist, yet their light lives on, in your perception, in your consciousness, in your warmth. So when you look at the stars, remember that what you see is not far away. It is already within you. You are built from what you're watching. You are both observer and reflection, both receiver and continuation. The light of the universe is not just something you witness, it is something you carry. And in that understanding there is stillness. Because if light never dies, neither does the memory it holds. It simply changes form, spreading, softening, joining the flow of everything else that endures. From that flow arises balance, the fragile equilibrium that keeps all things together, the quiet perfection that holds the solar system in its serene orbit. Every motion in the solar system is a miracle of balance. The planets spin, the moons revolve, the comets return, all guided by invisible lines of gravity so delicate that even a slight change could unravel the harmony. And yet for billions of years it has held. Nothing collides, nothing strays too far. The solar system is not a clock wound tightly, but a dance of trust. Each world knows its place and its pace. This balance is fragile, but not weak. It is strength born from cooperation, gravity and motion, push and pull, expansion and return. The sun pulls, the planets move forward, and the result is peace. If they slowed, they would fall inward. If they rushed, they would drift away. It is the same balance that holds you steady as you walk, the same rhythm in your breathing, the same grace in your heart's beat. Every part of life mirrors this cosmic equilibrium. Think of how delicate it all is. A slight wobble in the early days of creation could have sent Earth spinning too close to the sun or too far into cold. A small variation in mass could have changed every orbit, every season, every chance for life. Yet somehow, it all found the perfect line between chaos and calm. This is not coincidence. It is the universe finding its own peace. Balance is never still. It is motion that sustains itself. The Earth tilts just enough to create seasons, and that tilt stays steady because of the moon's quiet pull. The atmosphere moves constantly, yet the climate holds within gentle limits. Even our bodies exist in this same fine tension. Blood pressure, body temperature, heartbeat, breath, each in motion, each always returning. We live because imbalance and restoration dance together every second. When we think of fragility, we imagine breakage. But in truth, fragility is a form of awareness. It is what makes us careful, grateful, awake. The planets do not take their balance for granted, nor should we. Everything we love, everything that gives us rest exists because of the narrow grace between extremes. Day and night, heat and cold, silence and sound. Each depends on the other to exist. From a distance, the solar system looks unchanging, but balance is its most dynamic act. Tiny adjustments happen constantly. Jupiter's gravity nudging asteroids, the sun's wind shaping magnetic fields, the pull of each planet affecting the rest. It is a grand conversation, subtle, steady, eternal. You are part of that conversation. Every breath you take is a small example of balance kept. You breathe in, you breathe out, you rest, you wake, you hold, you release. The same pattern that governs the orbits of worlds lives quietly within you. So when life feels unstable, remember that balance is not the absence of motion. It is motion guided by grace. You do not need to freeze to find peace. You only need to keep moving gently within your own rhythm. The planets do not stop to stay balanced, they flow. And in that flowing harmony, sometimes the worlds align. Brief moments when everything seems to fall perfectly into place, not by force, but by nature's own calm design. That is where we drift next, into the serene geometry of alignment, where motion becomes symmetry and symmetry becomes wonder. Every so often, the planets line up across the sky, not perfectly, but close enough that their paths appear to converge into one long arc of light. Ancient astronomers called these alignments omens, believing they carried meaning, that the heavens were speaking in geometry. In truth, they are simply harmony revealed, the rhythm of orbits briefly falling into visible symmetry. For a moment, the solar system looks like a design traced by calm hands. When worlds align, nothing changes in the laws of physics, yet everything feels different. The same planets, the same gravity, the same light, but arranged in a way that reminds us there is order beneath all movement. These alignments are rare, slow, and brief, but they carry a quiet beauty, a reminder that chaos, when seen from the right distance, is balance in disguise. Picture it now. Mercury and Venus close to the horizon, Earth turning gently beneath them, Mars a faint ember higher up, Jupiter and Saturn glimmering beyond. To your eyes they seem near one another, though they are separated by hundreds of millions of kilometres. Distance disappears when seen through perspective. For that moment the solar system appears as a single pattern, each planet holding its note in a silent chord. This, too, is the nature of peace, not the elimination of distance, but the recognition of connection. The planets have always been aligned, just not always in ways we can see. The same is true of our lives. Sometimes alignment feels invisible, hidden in motion, but when you pause, when you look back, you realize that everything has been moving toward harmony all along. And alignment is not permanence. It fades, as all things do. The planets drift apart, returning to their natural distances, and the sky resumes its usual scatter of points. Yet that transience makes it even more precious. The moment is peaceful, precisely because it cannot last. Balance becomes visible only when we stop trying to hold it. If you have ever felt a moment of quiet connection, standing under stars, holding someone's hand, hearing a piece of music that slows your breath, you have known your own kind of alignment. The world continues to move, yet something in you feels perfectly still. That is the same calm the planets share when their paths coincide. The solar system is always in motion, but it carries its geometry within that motion. Alignment is not exception, it is revelation. When things appear to fall into place, they are not suddenly right. They have been right all along, and we have finally looked closely enough to see it. So when you see the next planetary alignment, whether through a telescope or just through imagination, let it remind you that every orbit, every moment, every relationship has its rhythm. Even distances are part of connection. Even separation holds design. And as the planets drift onward, the symmetry dissolves into silence once more, into the vast, unbroken quiet where no sound travels, but everything still vibrates with unseen motion. It is there, beyond the geometry, that we find the truest form of peace, the silence beyond sound. Out here, in the spaces where no air moves, silence is complete. It is not the silence we know on Earth, the pause between breaths, the stillness after a song. This is a deeper quiet, one untouched by wind or echo, a silence so vast that it becomes a presence of its own. In space, nothing carries sound. There are no waves to vibrate, no medium to tremble. Even the most violent explosions unfold in perfect calm. The universe speaks only through light, through motion, through gravity. And yet this silence is not emptiness, it is fullness, the still field in which all things exist. If you could drift beyond the planets, you would hear nothing, but you would feel everything. The hum of your own body would become loud, your pulse, your breath, the rhythm of blood in your ears. In that contrast, you would realize how much of life is made of motion, how rare true quiet is. The universe, in its great serenity, offers that quiet not as absence, but as invitation. It does not demand your attention. It waits for it. Silence in space is ancient. It has existed since the first light burst from the darkness, since the first atoms began their dance. And even as galaxies spin and stars ignite, the silence between them endures. It stretches through everything like a soft thread, binding the loudness of creation in balance. Without silence, sound would lose its meaning. Without stillness, motion would lose its beauty. The two depend on one another the way night depends on day. Here on Earth, silence is fragile. We fill it with words, with noise, with thought. Yet when you find it, truly find it, it feels infinite. Perhaps that is why looking at the stars makes us quiet. Something in us recognizes that vast hush and longs to match it. We fall silent not because we have nothing to say, but because the universe is already speaking. Astronauts often describe an overwhelming peace when they see Earth from space, not the thrill of distance, but the humility of silence. The planet hangs there, glowing softly against blackness, and all the noise of human life shrinks into a whisper. That silence does not erase meaning. It deepens it. It reminds them, and us, that sound is temporary, but calm is eternal. Even light, though swift and radiant, travels through this quiet. Every photon, every beam crosses endless distances without making a sound. Its journey, a meditation in motion. The universe is not empty. It is listening. It is a space vast enough for every vibration to fade without being lost. So when you close your eyes tonight, imagine that silence expanding around you. Let your thoughts slow until they become weightless, drifting like planets in their own orbits. You do not have to stop thinking, you only have to stop holding. Let the silence carry you, the way the vacuum carries light, without friction, without struggle, without sound. Because beyond all the noise of life, beyond language and motion, there is a deeper stillness waiting. It is not loneliness, it is presence. It is the universe breathing softly, the calm between its endless creations. That silence is always there, beneath every heartbeat and wave of sound. You do not have to go to space to find it. You only have to listen inward. And as we drift through that quiet, a thought begins to form, a realization that everything we've seen, every planet and star, every silence and breath, belongs to something even greater. The solar system itself as a single thought, a single awareness moving through the dark. If you could step far enough away, far beyond Neptune's blue winds and Pluto's pale orbit, the solar system would no longer look like a collection of worlds. It would resemble a single shape, a single glowing idea suspended in the dark. Every orbit, every motion, every thread of light would blend into one vast pattern, turning slowly around a quiet centre. From that distance you might think of it not as machinery, but as mind, the thought of a star dreaming itself into motion. The sun imagines light, and light becomes planets. Those planets carry reflections of their maker, warmth, gravity, rhythm. Each moves with its own individuality, yet each remains connected, like thoughts within a single consciousness. Mercury's speed is a spark of curiosity, Earth's calm rotation, a memory of balance, Jupiter's gravity, a deep and steady awareness. It is as if the solar system itself is alive in some silent, intelligent way, not thinking as we do, but flowing, remembering, breathing. We are part of that thought. The atoms in your body once swirled in the sun's early nebula, cooled in dust, gathered into rock, water, and blood. You are a brief pattern within the long dream of the solar system, a self-aware fragment of the star's imagination, capable of looking back at its source and whispering, "Thank you." Every time you wonder about the universe, every time you gaze upward and feel small yet infinite, you are completing the circuit of that cosmic thought. To think of the solar system as a thought is to understand connection. Nothing here moves alone. Gravity is understanding, light is memory, and motion is continuity. Even the vast distances are not separations but pauses between ideas. The planets do not compete. They coexist, like calm sentences in a single ongoing poem. Together they express balance, an endless meditation written across space. When we study the stars, we are reading the mind of creation. When we rest under the sky, we are listening to its stillness. Both are forms of understanding. Science and wonder are not opposites. They are the same gaze, turned inward and outward at once. The astronomer and the dreamer look through the same telescope. Perhaps that is why the universe feels peaceful when we think about it at night. It is not only vast, it is coherent. Every motion has purpose, every light has path, every silence has tone. The solar system doesn't merely exist, it thinks itself into harmony. And just as it flows in rhythm around its star, so do we flow around our own centres, our hearts, our breath, our awareness. We are small versions of that same design, conscious particles of a larger order. The way you breathe, the way you rest, the way your thoughts drift and return, all mirror the motion of planets, the flow of energy, the balance of the cosmos. So as you lie here now, eyes closed, imagine that entire system as one living thought, calm, circular, endless. You are within that thought, not outside it. You are part of the sentence the universe is writing, part of the silence that gives it shape. The solar system does not think about you. It thinks through you. You are its awareness momentarily awake. And from that awareness, another understanding begins to rise. That within all this motion, all this thought, one thread connects everything, the flow of energy that we call life itself. From the sun's blazing heart to the faintest grain of dust at the edge of its reach, one current moves through everything, a thread of energy that changes form but never fades. We call it light, or heat, or motion, or breath. But in truth it is all one thing, life, unfolding in different rhythms. The solar system is not lifeless stones circling a star, it is a web of transformation. Every atom, every beam of sunlight, every heartbeat shares the same ancestry, forged in the same stellar fire, carried through the same river of time. When the sun burns, it sends out more than warmth, it sends possibility. That light touches earth, slips through the air and finds green leaves waiting. Within those leaves, photons become sugar, sunlight woven into matter. The energy travels from plant to insect, from insect to bird, from bird to everything that breathes. Even now, as you inhale, some of that ancient light becomes part of you, transformed into thought, into calm, into consciousness. You're made from sunlight slowed down into form. Life is the solar system remembering itself. The oceans shimmer because the sun dreamed them into movement. Trees stretch upward, echoing the flow of radiation that feeds them. Even the smallest cell mirrors the cosmos. It turns, it breathes, it carries its own miniature orbit of energy within. The heart beating inside you does what the sun does on a smaller scale. It radiates warmth. It sustains motion. It keeps the surrounding world alive. And yet, life is delicate, a balance of heat and distance, of chemistry and chance. Earth happens to sit in that fragile band of space called the habitable zone, not too close to the sun's fire, not too far from its glow. A few million kilometers either way, and everything changes, but fragility is part of beauty. The fact that life exists at all, that it has flourished, wondered, created, is proof that the universe values impermanence. Permanence is stillness. Life is flow. Look again at the planets and moons, the asteroids, the comets. Even those that seem barren are part of this flow. Mars may one day hold life again. Venus may have held it once, and moons like Europa or Enceladus still whisper with the possibility of oceans beneath their frozen shells. The solar system carries not only the memory of life, but its potential, its persistence. Life does not demand comfort. It only asks for energy and time. And time is infinite here. You're part of this thread, not separate from it. Every breath you take connects you backward to the stars and forward to everything that will come after. When you exhale, you return carbon to the air, a gift of matter that may someday drift into new leaves, new oceans, new hearts. Nothing of you is ever lost. It only changes shape. The same pattern of exchange that moves between the sun and earth moves between you and the world. You inhale the product of ancient forests and exhale the future of unseen lives. So when you rest, remember this. Your stillness is not absence of motion. It is participation. The stars are moving through you and you through them. Every cell in your body glows faintly with the same fire that powers the sun. You're not under the universe. You're inside it, a single bright thread in an infinite weave of light. And as we drift with that understanding, the distance between you and the cosmos disappears completely. There is only awareness, a moment where the observer and the observed become one. That is where our journey turns next, toward you, the observer, the quiet consciousness through which the universe comes to know itself. Somewhere between the stars and the dust, between the rhythm of orbits and the silence of infinity, you exist. A brief awareness within the grand design. The solar system turns, the sun breathes, the planets flow in their endless paths, and for a moment, through your eyes, the universe looks back at itself. You're not apart from this motion. You are its witness, its echo, its continuation. Without awareness, all of this would still unfold, but it is through you that it becomes known. Your mind is built from the same materials as stars, carbon, iron, oxygen, hydrogen, atoms forged in ancient furnaces and scattered across space before finding each other again to think, to feel, to dream. Each thought you have is the result of stardust remembering its light. You are the universe becoming conscious, even if only for a blink of cosmic time. When you look at the night sky and feel that quiet ache of wonder, that sense of awe too large for words, it is the cosmos recognizing itself. Your curiosity is not separate from gravity, nor is your peace separate from light. Every question you ask, every breath you take, every heartbeat that syncs with the rhythm of the world, all of it is the solar system thinking through you. The same calm precision that keeps Jupiter in orbit keeps your heart steady. The same flow of energy that glides through Saturn's rings runs through your veins. You, like the planets, exist within an orbit, not of distance, but of experience. You revolve around moments of joy and loss, around memories and dreams, around beginnings and returns. Yet even in that motion, there is stability. Awareness itself does not move. It is the still point, the center of the system within you. Thoughts, emotions, sensations, they circle it, rise and fall like moons around a planet, but the awareness watching them remains unchanged. The more you notice that stillness, the more the boundaries fade. You stop feeling small beneath the stars and begin to feel infinite among them. The same space that stretches between worlds stretches within you. The same silence that fills the cosmos hums quietly behind every thought. When you rest, when you breathe, you align with that universal calm. The observer and the observed become one. This is why wonder feels peaceful. It is not just admiration. It is recognition, the universe seeing itself clearly for a moment. To wonder is to remember. To breathe is to participate. To be alive is to orbit within consciousness itself. So tonight, as you listen, as you drift towards sleep, remember this truth. You're not looking at the solar system, you're looking from within it. You're made of its motion, its balance, its light. You're both question and answer, both dust and awareness, both movement and stillness. The observer is the universe awake, and as your thoughts slow and the night deepens, that awareness will soften, not vanish, but dissolve into something larger, something timeless, because you are not separate from the flow. You are the flow. You are what the universe feels like when it rests. From that still center, we will now return, gently, slowly, back through the system we've travelled, carrying this understanding with us. The question we began with still waits for its answer. What is stillness in a universe that never stops moving? Let us return to that question and see what it has become. When we began this journey, we asked what stillness means in a universe that never stops moving. Now, after drifting through light and dust, through wind and shadow, through the quiet rhythm of orbits, the answer feels softer, simpler. Stillness has never meant the absence of motion. It has always meant harmony within it. The solar system is never still, yet it is peaceful. Everything flows, everything changes, but nothing is lost. You can feel this truth in your own body, your breath rising and falling, your heart pulsing quietly beneath your ribs. Even when you sleep, your blood moves, your cells transform, your mind dreams. Stillness lives not in stopping, but in moving without resistance. It is the peace that comes when motion aligns with purpose, when the rhythm of the universe and the rhythm of yourself become one and the same. Look again at what we've seen. The sun breathes light, and the planets respond with orbit. Jupiter spins storms the size of the worlds, yet holds perfect grace in their motion. Saturn's rings never rest, yet their dance is calm, eternal. Even the smallest grains of dust wander through the dark with patience. The solar system is a moving meditation, a perpetual balance between gravity and freedom, energy and rest. Perhaps stillness is not something to find, but something to remember. It is already here, waiting beneath the noise, beneath the constant current of thought. It is the awareness that watches motion without needing to change it. When you close your eyes, when you let your thoughts drift without grasping, that stillness begins to surface, not as emptiness, but as presence. You do not create it, you return to it. We spend so much of life chasing quiet, believing peace lies somewhere far away, in distant galaxies, in mountain silence, in the next sunrise. But peace has been orbiting us all along. It is in the rotation of your breath, the gravity of your heart, the faint hum that connects every living thing. The same harmony that holds the planet steady holds you too. When you next look at the night sky, remember, every point of light is in motion, and yet the whole feels still. That is the truth of peace. You do not need the world to stop turning for rest to exist. You only need to feel the rhythm, to surrender to the flow, to know you are part of something already balanced. The question we began with, what is stillness in motion, was never meant to be answered in words. It is answered in feeling. It is answered in breath. It is answered now as you listen, as your body softens and your thoughts begin to fade into the same rhythm as the stars. Stillness is not the end of motion. It is the understanding that motion and rest are the same thing seen from different distances. The solar system knows this. The universe knows this. And somewhere deep within, so do you. We're almost home now, returning gently to the small blue world that began our journey. The light grows warmer, the distance shorter, the feeling more familiar. Earth waits for us, patient, quiet, endlessly turning beneath the same calm sky. The journey outward has shown you vastness, the reach of light, the silence of space, the delicate rhythm that binds the planets. Now we drift inward again, back toward the warmth that began it all. Through the frozen edges of the Kuiper belt, past Neptune's sapphire winds and Saturn's golden rings, through Jupiter's glowing storms and Mars's red silence, until at last the sun grows bright once more, and Earth appears small, blue, luminous, alive. From this distance, our world is a soft sphere wrapped in light. You can't see the noise of cities or the lines of borders. You see only clouds moving slowly, oceans breathing in waves, and a faint shimmer of atmosphere glowing against the dark. This is home, the single, fragile oasis where the solar system's harmony becomes life. As you drift closer, the details unfold. The white of polar ice, the green of forests, the deep calm of the seas. It is all motion, yet all peace. Winds travel, tides rise and fall, clouds form and vanish. But from above, it looks like stillness, a blue thought turning gracefully through light. Every movement below is part of a larger calm. The same balance we found among planets lives here too. The sun warms without burning, the air protects without trapping, the oceans cradle without drowning. Everything on Earth moves in loops, water rising as vapour, falling as rain, returning to sea, seasons shifting, life growing and fading and growing again. It is a small reflection of the grand emotion we've travelled through, a miniature cosmos that breathes in rhythm with its star. And within that world, you. The breath you draw now carries molecules once held by mountains, once exhaled by forests, once flowing through oceans. The carbon in your body has cycled through countless forms: plant, stone, air, and now consciousness. You are Earth aware of itself, looking upward, remembering its origin in starlight. Home is not only a place, it is participation. It is belonging to a cycle that never ends: warmth, motion, renewal. Every sunrise you see is the same sun that shines on Mars, that gilds Saturn's rings, that whispers across Neptune's winds. The universe has not left you behind. It has gathered here, in this single point of awareness, this single breath. So as you rest here again, returning from the vastness, know that the piece of space was never separate from you. It is in every rhythm that sustains life: the ocean's tide, the heartbeat, the wind's soft hum. You carry the calm of the cosmos within you. You always have. Earth spins beneath 1,000 quiet stars. Its motion is gentle, its purpose simple: to exist, to turn, to shine. You are part of that same purpose. You are motion at rest, starlight at peace, the solar system's reflection in human form. Now, as night gathers and thought slows, we look once more toward the horizon, toward the place where space and sky meet, and we prepare for the final drift, the return not just to home, but to rest. The horizon is not an ending. It is a soft meeting of light and shadow, a place where everything that moves begins to fade into calm. Every day the earth turns toward night, and the sun sinks beyond sight, but never beyond reach. The light simply changes form, finding new ways to comfort. Moonlight on water, starlight through cloud, the faint silver glow that outlines every quiet shape. As you stand at that horizon in your mind, you can feel both motion and stillness at once. The rotation of the world beneath you and the peace that rests upon it. This is how the universe sleeps, not by stopping, but by slowing. The same rotation that brings dawn now carries dusk across the sky, wrapping everything in cool blue shadow. Somewhere beyond the curve of Earth, another sunrise already burns, and in this perfect balance, every moment becomes both beginning and ending. The solar system never closes its eyes. It simply shifts its light, one side dreaming while the other awakens. Let yourself feel that rhythm now, the breath of the planet, the pulse of the tide, the gentle hum beneath all life. Every sound grows softer, every thought drifts slower, and you find yourself floating again. Not through the stars this time, but through your own inner space. The vastness is still there, but closer now, quieter, like a sea within your heartbeat. You don't need to chase it anymore, you're already part of it. The horizon is where separation dissolves, day into night, sound into silence, you into everything else. The same atoms that once burned in the hearts of stars now rest in your lungs, glowing faintly as they wait for sleep. There is no edge between you and the universe, only flow. The solar system continues its patient dance, and you drift within its music, carried by the same unseen current that moves planets through their orbits. You are safe in that rhythm. You're held in that calm. The sun still burns, the stars still shine, but here, in this moment, you can let the light soften and the motion slow. You're approaching the still horizon, the meeting place of awareness and rest. Breathe gently. Let gravity cradle you the way the sun holds its planets. Let each exhale draw you closer to peace. You do not need to think, you only need to drift. The same energy that turns the cosmos now turns within you, slower, quieter, toward the ease that waits beyond thought. As night deepens, you become the horizon itself, the meeting of worlds, the blending of motion and rest. There is nothing more to seek. You have returned to balance. You have become the calm you were searching for among the stars. Soon the last light will fade into dream, and all that will remain is the flow, steady, eternal, peaceful. Now the stars above are no longer distant points of light, but quiet companions watching over you. The same constellations that guided ancient travellers, the same faint shimmer that inspired every question, now soften into a backdrop for rest. You are still, yet everything moves. Earth turning beneath you, the moon gliding across its orbit, the sun burning gently far away. The universe continues, but for you, time begins to slow, to melt, to fold into something deeper. Your body feels heavier, yet lighter too, anchored by gravity, but lifted by calm. The breath flows effortlessly, no longer something to control, just something that happens. Each exhale releases a little more of the day. Each inhale fills you with quiet, the kind of silence that only space could teach. You are floating now, not in distance, but in awareness, suspended between waking and dreaming, where thought becomes light and light becomes sleep. Imagine yourself drifting through the solar system once more, but differently this time. There is no destination, no need to observe or understand. The planets move around you like lanterns in a gentle tide. Jupiter turns in slow golden swirls, Saturn's rings glimmer like strands of silk, and Earth, your home, glows softly behind you, a blue memory of warmth. Everything is smooth, circular, and infinite. Nothing demands, nothing resists. This is what rest truly is. Participation without effort, motion without thought. The same flow that carries the planets through their orbits now carries you into dream. You're safe in that current. You're guided, weightless, free. The body fades into the rhythm of breath. The mind drifts into its own soft orbit. Every part of you that once clung or worried loosens, releases, returns to the cosmic calm that made you. If thoughts appear, let them pass like comets, bright, brief, beautiful. Watch them go without chasing. They leave behind only trails of light that fade into stillness. Even your memories now seem far away, smaller, slower, like distant worlds continuing their perfect paths. There's nothing left to fix, nothing to find. You are already in the centre of peace. You're no longer looking at the stars, you're among them. You're not a visitor in the universe, you're its dream, floating quietly in its vast, luminous mind. Every beat of your heart echoes the turning of worlds. Every breath is an orbit completed. You're aligned with everything, the sun's light, the planet's grace, the infinite stillness between. Let go of shape, of time, of name. Let yourself dissolve into the same silence that fills space. You are home in it. You have always been home in it. The universe is not outside you. It breathes through you, hums within you, dreams with you. As sleep approaches, let the rhythm take you, slow, gentle, eternal. Drift with it the way light drifts across darkness. Let your final waking thought be soft and true. You are part of everything that moves, and everything that moves is at rest. The stars have grown quiet now. Their light has faded into a soft blur behind your eyelids. And the great journey through the solar system has come full circle. You are home, not back on Earth, not anywhere outside, but home within yourself, where stillness and motion become the same gentle breath. Everything you have seen, the glow of the sun, the patience of planets, the silence beyond sound, still exists within you. Those distant worlds are no longer far away. They have settled into your heartbeat, your calm, your slow and peaceful rhythm. The vastness you once looked upon now hums inside your chest, steady and infinite. As you lie here, the same gravity that holds the moon to Earth holds you softly in place. The same light that travels across billions of kilometers rests quietly on your skin. You're woven into the pattern of the cosmos, a continuation of its thought, a reflection of its calm. Listen now, not with your ears but with your whole being. Beneath the surface of every sound there is quiet. Beneath every motion there is stillness. Beneath every breath there is peace. You are floating in that peace, not separate from the universe but one with its flow. The solar system turns, the stars drift, the night deepens, and you, the observer, the dreamer, the gentle witness of it all, drift with them, effortlessly. There is nothing left to do. You have seen the beginning and the end, the light and the shadow, the silence and the song. They are all one. You are all one. Let that truth settle softly, like starlight on water. Let your thoughts dissolve into the rhythm of the cosmos. Feel yourself breathing with the universe, slow, deep, timeless. The same flow that carries comets through the dark now carries you toward rest. The same light that warms the planets warms the quiet within you. You are safe, you are still, you are endless. Everything flows. Sleep in that motion.